Job streamers? It's Adonis McReynolds here, in bad need of a haircut, but here I am on a beautiful Friday, and wanted to go ahead and point to our CEO, Jess Zeitz, here has a lot she's going to say on something very important to your job search. So listen up. We're going to be talking today about social media content strategy, why it's important, why you should use it, and specific cases perhaps maybe where it's not needed as much. So go ahead and take the floor, Jess.
Yeah, for sure. So this is something that job seekers never think about. I know a lot of business owners do, but if you're just an individual person searching for your next full-time role, you're probably like, why would I need to create content? I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm just trying to get an office job. And I do completely hear you, but unfortunately, that is the world that we are living in today. And if you do start creating content, you will have such a competitive edge and a leg up on the competition. And I'm going to talk about the reasons why. So, number one is that all platforms are prioritizing SEO right now. It's not just for Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, they're all prioritizing SEO, which is search engine optimization. So, essentially, how Google works and now all these platforms are putting it into their algorithms is they want the most relevant, helpful content to be at the top of the page or to be served to you. So obviously when you go on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, you see things that you're engaging with. Like it's based on your search activity, it's based on stuff that's relevant to you. And that's what the platform wants because all platforms want you to stay on their platform for as long as possible and never leave. So if you are not interested in the content you're seeing, you're obviously going to click out. So the whole point of search engine optimization is to show you the most relevant content to you and the most helpful content to you. And so when you create content, you always want to keep that in mind. And how do you do that? You do that through keywords. So the old days of keyword stuffing are long gone. That was like over a decade ago. So you don't want to just, write like ridiculous captions with repetitive words. Instead, you want it to be like long form keywords, which are long sentences that are relevant and normal and helpful. So let's say you're looking for a job as a software engineer. So you want to create a lot of posts about software engineering and you want to use the keyword software engineering in multiple different ways. So software engineer, software engineering, and different words like related to the job that you want. But you also want it to be like normal sounding, complete sentences, anything that's going to be helpful and relevant. And what is that going to do for you? That is going to push your content out to recruiters and job openings, and they're going to see your content and they're going to contact you based on that. So that's one. And number two, when you do these type of posts and you do them properly, it also builds trust and credibility. So you're positioning yourself as an authority and as an expert. You don't always want to be like an expert authority on every little thing because you also want to be relatable and you want to be human. So if you don't know something, you can also create a post about that. You could say like, "Oh, I just found out there's this new thing in software engineering that I'm not familiar with and I thought it was really interesting. Like, does anyone have any answers for me?" Anything like that. So being vulnerable is really good content. We actually part of the content strategy that you want to use is called the 3 V's. So it's value, which is like, giving out tips for free, any helpful advice, vulnerability. So that's like what I just said, when you don't know something, when you've made a mistake, when something's gone wrong and you're vulnerable on the internet and you mention it and it shows people your human side, that you're not always an expert and everything goes well all the time for you because that alienates people. And then virality is the last V, and that's like more fun stuff. Like sometimes you can put memes or you can do a TikTok trend or whatever. We don't always have to do that because it does depend what you're trying to do. But those are the 3 V's you want to really like talk about in your content strategy. So Adonis, do you have anything to say on that? Do you think like those are good ideas right now, the SEO or the 3 V's? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a good example of the virality would be like the Coldplay concert that took place pretty recently, right? I think most people created a post about that almost ad nauseum, right? But it's an example, right, of that
Absolutely.
virality, and then obviously with the vulnerability, like you're hitting it right on the head. Like to not know something is not necessarily a bad thing, but you do want to make sure that the public engages with you, so that way you can learn about different things that you want to learn. And I do think that from the standpoint of adding valuable tips, like we've covered that before, we talk all the time about how if you're a job seeker, the biggest asset you have is your expertise and on particular subject matter pertaining to the roles you're applying for. So yeah, 100% solid advice. You're killing it so far.
Thank you. And yeah, exactly. Great example because I made a post for JobStream about the CEO of Astronomer and it got over 12,000 impressions. So when you hit a trend like that, it really can boost your visibility and really push you out to your target audience. And as a job seeker, I know you're like, well, what's my target audience? But your target audience is obviously people that are hiring and recruiters. So that's what you always want to keep in mind. So that's another rule. You always want to design your content, your posts for like who is reading this and why are they reading it. So that's just like another helpful tip. Um, so yeah, so those are the main things. And then if you're like, okay, but what do I post about? It's so hard. I do actually have a book that covers this, and usually I do sell it for about $15. But if you're seeing this video, I will give it to you for free as a bonus for watching this whole video, and it'll go through all the steps. But I'll just briefly talk about it. So to make it a lot easier, we do what we call content pillars. So you have to pick like your 12 is the best because then you can really create content for a year. But if you don't want to go like that crazy, just pick like 5 or 6. And those should be like just broad topics. So like for me, as a business owner, my broad topics could be like resume writing, interview tips, negotiation tips, like job seeker advice. And then from there, you can go on Google and just type in that keyword. Just type in like interview tips, and then you know how on Google it'll show you like little snippets of like drop down. It'll like at all these extra questions that people are asking. So you can type in like job seeker advice, and then people will be like, "What's the best advice? What do I do in an interview?" Then answer that question in your content. That's what you want to do. And you can also go on answerthepublic.com. This is by Neil Patel, who's like one of the top leading men in SEO. You can always ask us. We will do this for you depending on the package that you choose. And yeah, so we're always here to help. And that is really the point of what you should be doing for job seekers. So if you're a job seeker, creating content is really important. Of course, you want to start with LinkedIn, but it is good to repost some of the posts on Facebook. I've gotten a lot of work through Facebook, so don't underestimate the power of Facebook as well. Adonis, do you have anything else in closing? Because I know we're hitting 10 minutes. So do you have any other thoughts, tips, any comments?
Of course, yeah. So today's video is primarily about social media content strategy. Keep in mind, this is not a standalone. None of the things that we talk about on an individual basis is a standalone. It all falls within a multi-channel approach with many different types of strategies and techniques that you're going to want to implement. So don't forget, you're probably going to want to figure out your whole automation situation. You're going to want to figure out like how to create great videos so that way you're sending good marketing collateral, like all of these things. Cold calling to schedule interviews. There's a number of different things that JobStream AI does to help the customer and help the job seeker really get where they want to go. So by all means, of course, gobble up all of these tips that we're giving you on social media content strategy, but don't forget, it's a much bigger picture that you're working with, and we definitely would love to help you if you don't have the time or the energy or the capacity to be able to accomplish these things on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. So well said. Nothing will work just like in parts if you do it all together, and it really will work though. So putting this all together is important, and reach out to us at jobstreamai.com or on LinkedIn, and we will always reply. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.